The Wild Wild West.
All right, we're live. We're live. Buddy Levy, thank you for coming. It's Levy or Levy?
It's Levy.
Levy. Hell yeah, I got it right. Thank you for coming.
Hey, my pleasure, Matt.
I've been using your books to fuel the Patreon, and well, thank you for that.
I appreciate it, man.
Dude, it's been. I mean, I guess we do have a symbiosis going here, but it's really. Dude, they're first of all, I thought I read the books and I'm like, man, this historian really is a good writer. I would read and I'm like, this guy can really kind of really turn a good sentence. And then I learned you studied as a creative writer.
Yeah, that's true. I actually published my first story when I was 14 years old. And it was a bird hunting story about me, killing a chucker partridge, which no one knows about. Once I saw my byline for the first time, I was, because I grew up in this, in the shadow of Ernest Hemingway in Ketchum, Idaho. And I was like, I just like telling stories,
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't ever good at anything else. I ended up being an English major. So I just followed that path, from the time I was a kid.
Well, that's why I really like the books. And I was talking to you before we came in here. I was like, I don't know how I heard about the book. I was like, maybe it was from someone I follow. It might have just been like a random search. I genuinely don't remember. I do think it's from the Josh Reed's books thing, but I forget. That was Conquistador. But that was the thing. I was reading it and I'm like, man, this history book is it's just focused on the narrative itself rather than just it's just, I get drowned in facts reading history where I'm like, dude, just tell me the story. Tell me the story. And then what you do is, what's nice is you give the occasional historical zinger where it's like, actually this thing was that. And it's like, okay, that's kind of cool to know.
Yeah.
So I got to say, I got to tip the hat first and foremost. The books are great.
Well, and I've really enjoyed listening to you guys make things like human ritual sacrifice and smallpox funny, that's, because when I'm writing it, I'm thinking, this isn't really comedy, but you guys crush it.
There is something very funny about, we're talking obviously about the Aztec, the Conquistador thing, but there is something just that I thought was funny about never meeting a certain type of people before. Because the way they brought him into their temples, yo, this is cool, check this out. And it would just be like a dead dog with his skull crushed in and a dead kid they were eating. And you'd be like, yo, what the fuck? What is this? And they're like, what, you don't think this is cool? We think this is cool. And they're like, no.
No,
that's terrible. That's the worst thing you can do. We're like, no, this is the coolest thing you can do. And then the civilizations clashed. Right. So it is funny to be like, yeah, I want to show you something very important to me. We were eating teenagers. And you're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I write these books too, it's always people are like, why do you focus so much on this darkness, all this stuff, and I'm like, well, I like to see, as you say, different cultures coming together and also what happens to people when they're on the edge of survival. How are they going to contend with this new world or this new place? And it really intrigues me to see what, to what degree people, especially back then, were able to figure it out and just, and move on,
Yeah, it's pretty, it is pretty wild because it's especially the food thing and all that, in Conquistador and all those books, these guys are going on these missions and you only have so much food and they run out. And now it's we got to drum up food in a place we've never been to.
Right.
So that I kind of, just you have to, every time you want to eat, you have to raid basically a village or just be try to be cool.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. Or have slaves. It's, very helpful.
That also blew my mind in terms of the, Conquistador. Hey, Nate, don't fucking laugh. We're talking about a different time period and they were handy. You can't deny having 2,000 slaves would be handy to get food, Nate. We're talking history. All right. I don't agree with it personally, but if I needed food and I had either 0 or 2,000, I'd be like, well, I can get food, whatever. Anyway.
And by the way, I used to sugarcoat it. When I was writing it, I would be like, they had 2,000 porters and women who were making tortillas. And my friend, this writer friend, she goes, yeah, those are called sex slaves. And I'm like, well, no, they were bearers and porters. She's like, those were slaves. They took them.
She's right. That was the sheer volume. This is what shocked me because it would be I think Cortez landed with 600 guys, and 2,000 slaves. Was that true?
Well, he didn't come with very many slaves. He did bring one that had smallpox, which was useful for him.
That guy, yeah.
Yeah,
For some reason I thought Cortez he started out with a lot. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
What he ended up doing, Cortez ended up like recruiting these ancillary villages like the Teutonics and the Talaskans, and he then did deals and said, "Can I use your guys to go get this major leader who you call Moctezuma, right?" Or
Wait, so I could have sworn Cortez rolled up. They had their porters.
Yeah, but they got those from the villages that they subsumed as they first arrived.
So he didn't roll. It was then, I'm thinking of the Pizarros in.
Yeah.
That guy set out with a party with like 2,000 slaves.
Yeah, but at any rate, like they couldn't have done it alone, and even then they were often outnumbered significantly.
Yeah,
but they just figured out ways to manipulate, terrorize.
Yeah, well, there was that story from and I'm going to actually talk about this later today, but there was a story from the Gonzalo, his last stand, or when he's like fighting that Spanish Civil War. He's fighting another Spaniard, and it was actually Gonzalo's slave who ran out and chopped the guy's head off.
Nice.
And just carried it around town. Like, yo, we got it. And he had to be like, bro, why don't do that to a fellow Spaniard? The hell are you doing? He was dancing in the end zone on the guy. But yeah, it's just it was like the war was to stop slavery in South America. And the dude's slave cut the guy's head off who was trying to stop slavery. Yeah, it was pretty funny. He was like, nah, fuck that, dude. I'm on Gonzalo's anyway. But yeah, it was definitely a complicated time for sure. Complicated time. But it is so brutal though, because you are trying to get the story, but you like at every turn, it is completely, and like you were saying, you're rolling around with, quote unquote, 3 women who make tortillas for 600 guys. They're obviously sex slaves. The guys, some of the fucking guys were probably sex slaves. You know what I mean? It's got to be somewhat prison rules.
Well, it gets lonely out on the trail,
But yeah, I just got to say the books they're nice because it's the story. It's like the thing that happened based on all the historical record. Which how like is that boring researching that? Like how do you get through that? Because I feel like I would kind of go crazy.
That's a great question. No, when I love the research part of it. And it's like 2 components to it for me. There's the actual sitting there and reading everything that's ever been written, or to the extent that I can, everything that's ever been written about the particular subject, so that I know the story and then I start writing. But then I also, I always go to the place that I'm going to write about and do an expedition of my own so I can make it as real and seem like, even though I'm casting myself back maybe 500 years, to try to be on the ground and in the environment that I'm writing about, so that I can feel the sense of the place and see the flora and fauna. And we can maybe talk about some of those expeditions that I've done. But, for me, it's fun to immerse in that. It's kind of like doing like a mini, a master's degree or a PhD for every book, and it actually leaves a freaking mark. I mean, I'm on my 10th book, and every time it's a huge divot out of my brain, because I log in for, maybe 6 or 8 months of just reading, and then I'll go on my expedition where I'm going to go. And then I sit my ass down and spend maybe 6 months to a year, depending, just writing the book. And but I always find the reading part, the research part really inspiring, because, I'm going back to these original texts. And they've got, journals and diaries. And in the case of the Spaniards, they had these scribes that were there just to record the events. And then, so you get these first and letters that they're writing back home. And so you really get transported to these places and to the minds of the people who were there. And then, of course, you have to balance out to what extent, like, they're lying, or padding the story for different political reasons. And so you're doing a bunch of sifting and deciding on which you believe. And, history to me is pretty dynamic and malleable. It's not like this set thing. It depends on, they say history was written by the victors. So, but I love it. I love that part.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. How have I been feeling about sports lately? Ooh, boy, college basketball. Yeah. Check on how Duke and Michigan are doing in the tournaments and if they're going to win it all. I don't know. I'm liking Duke. I'll be honest. I'm liking Duke. I've been caught up in March Madness fever. I keep watching people watching on the plane. I kind of watch it while they watch it. And I like March Madness, if I'm being honest. So I don't know. Duke, Michigan. Let's see. I don't know. I'm excited. The playoff push is heating up and tournament hoops are here. And there's no better way to cash in on the high-flying hoops action than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. Every bucket, every dime, and every win means more when you're playing on Prize Picks. So don't pass up your next shot with Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. And it's now available in all 50 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code DRENCH to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code DRENCH to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. So, and then in terms of the expeditions, is that like, I get it, you do it to like get a sense of the place, but like, is that also just to kind of get your own adventure thing going where you're like, because that's kind of, because you've done the Amazon.
Yep.
Did you climb the hills and everything?
Well, I hiked over the Andes.
Dang. So that goes up to what, 12?
I started I try to, for River of Darkness and Conquistador, I try to follow the route of the conquistadors as precisely as possible, using maps. Now, in modern day context, it's a little different because, there's more people there now. Yeah. But, for the Amazon, I started in Quito, did some, went on partly on horseback, partly on a bus, and then I trekked down to the headwaters of the Coca River and then went for like 3 weeks in a dugout canoe with 2 guides and just me and 2 other people, and floated down the river in a dugout canoe, sleeping in the rainforest in hammocks. It was one of the coolest adventures.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. What was it? I do want to go there one time, but what was it like being there? And oh
my God, it's quite remarkable. I mean, to put it in context, I spent I think 2 to 3 weeks, including the Andes part. And by the time I finished, which was in Iquitos, Peru, that's just where the Maranon meets the Amazon. And so there's I went 400 miles and there's 2,300 miles more to go to the Atlantic,
And that, to give context, I had to look this up. That is like driving from New York City all the way to basically, I think like Idaho.
It's so far.
It's so far.
And, but it's cool because once you get out there, it's still, I floated through this Yasuni National Park and there's it's like one of the most biodiverse places in the world. And then you're just you get into this river rhythm where, you float for hours and everything starts to look the same because, you're shrouded on each side by these giant ceiba trees. And, you have to wear knee-high rubber boots because there's ant colonies. There's so many critters that can, mess you up. Vampire bats and that.
Did you see any vampire bats?
I did. And I saw, the thing is, I don't know if you remember in River of Darkness, but the vampire bats are pretty intense. They come onto you at night and they have these canine incisor teeth and they pierce the skin and then they have this anticoagulant enzyme in their saliva. So they just lick at the wound all night and just drink blood. Yeah, you just keep bleeding. But I was cheating a little because I had a hammock that had mosquito netting. So cool. My guides were just sleeping in hammocks just out there. But there's so many. There's spiders the size of your fist. And
what were some of the craziest things you saw in terms of animals?
Oh my God. Well, so this is kind of bizarre. I wanted to, when in Rome, I guess, or when in the Amazon, I decided to go on an ayahuasca trip,
Whoa, dang.
So I didn't decide.
Did you do it classically? Did you have it boofed? Remember they say they siphoned it up their butts back in the day.
I did not go for the enema style, but
that's kind of sick. They did that though.
I know. Well, it gets there. It's mainlining ayahuasca. Yeah. No, this guy, my guide Jose Shingangu, cool dude, man. He was like, I'm gonna go get the bark, and do you want to try ayahuasca? And I was like, Sure.
He was just your river.
He was my guide. He knew all the birds, and he was like, when you're here, you know, if you guys, whoever wants to try it, and there were only these 3 people, and the 2 guides, and so I said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I mean, I grew up dabbling a little in some of these hallucinogens, and so I had read about, and I thought, like, I was hoping for this amazing spiritual journey, and supposedly, if it really takes right, you're going to have this vision quest and meet your spirit animal.
Yeah.
So as we had been going through the Yosemite National Park, I had seen a pink dolphin, which is a freshwater dolphin. They're like a little 4 foot long, really cute. Mm-hmm. So I'm the ayahuasca is coming on, and I'm having these hallucinations, and I keep seeing this pink dolphin, and I'm like, wait a minute. So my wife's spirit animal is a dolphin. And I'm like, I was expecting like a sea wolf, these giant wolves with like webbed paws, or a freaking kraken or something. Yeah. And I get a pink dolphin for my spirit animal. Yeah. I'm like,
a 4 foot stuffed animal.
Like, I mean, it was not. It wasn't what I had hoped for, frankly.
You didn't drink enough. You should have drank. Like, give me 4 more cups.
Like, come on, Jose.
So how was that? Was it like, did you have a super strong dose, or did you feel like it was like a mild dose? Or
I was wishing for more. Yeah, actually. Just to transform that dolphin into something useful, like that can
fangs.
Kill. Yeah. I mean, but I have also read, I'm glad actually that it didn't take fully, because I've seen some stuff and heard that, people come out of that changed.
Yeah. It's like from what I've heard, I've never done it, but I've heard like the full dose is like you're puking.
Yeah,
shitting.
I felt I just hurled a little early on.
Dolphin.
Yeah, but the other thing we did, which was kind of insane. I mean, really, because I was like, they took us out. We were on this one big lake. That was like off. I mean, the whole thing is so massive that it was actually part of the river, but it was slow moving. It seemed like a lake. And he's like, "You want to go catch?" My guy said, "You want to go catch piranhas?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'm an angler."
Yeah,
grew up fishing. And I go, "What do you use?" And he's like, "Hot dogs." And so we go out there. We got a little stick, and we're dangling for piranha, right? And then he said afterwards, he's like, "Do you want to go swimming?" And I'm like, "Well, they're carnivores, man. Like, are we gonna?" So we swam in the same vicinity of these piranhas, and it was like, you're just sketched a bit, because like alone, they're like, I mean, their jaws are serious, but they're not big. Mm-hmm. But you get a couple hundred piranhas and you're bleeding, and then, it's just like the movies.
Yeah, they can munch you pretty quick.
But they jumped in first and showed me, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to wimp out here. I'm going to go.
Yeah, I'd be so, every time I hear about people swimming in the Amazon, I'm like, it's terrifying. Because there's like manatees in there.
Yeah, well, dolphins. The manatee, they're chill.
True.
I mean, I could have seen the manatee as my spirit animal too.
Yeah, like, something. Yeah,
just the sea cow is what they're called. They're just like go on the bottom and graze grass. They're just like sluggish. So anyway,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really informative. And what I'm usually trying to do when I'm going on these journeys is I bring all the primary texts that I can carry. And so I'm reading about the expedition that I'm writing about, and then I'm kind of living my own one, and sort of putting it together, like what this place would have been like. And there are all sorts of things, like in the Amazon, for instance, the sounds, in the evening, there's like thousands of different insects and weird, like night insects where the freaking, their head pops up and it goes around like with iridescent blinking lights, and it's just wild, and there's, there's panthers. And the thing that's got me a little nervy is, I'm not scared of snakes, but, the Amazon has the anaconda, right? So, even if you're 4 feet up in a tree in a hammock, you're thinking for a 30-foot anaconda, it's not a really big reach for them to,
Yeah, they can slither up a tree.
Come constrict you to death.
Oh.
So, like,
what do you do? I guess you got to yell and they cut it off or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to be running into an anaconda. But there's a guy named Paul Rizzoli who lives in the rainforest, and that dude is badass. And so he like intentionally goes out and finds them and catches them and wrestles with them and stuff, So if you know what you're doing, which I didn't, I mean, I was just trusting my guide.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what like skill can you have to like wrestle? What do you got to know to do?
You need like a croc hunter mentality, True.
True. I know if it's like quicksand, I know if you like lay on your belly in quicksand, it's better for you.
Spread out the surface area.
I guess anaconda, I would try to poke its eyes.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of poisonous animals, creatures, The weirdest thing is that there are these and also caiman, which are not as gnarly as like an Australian saltwater croc, but we went out evening spotlighting for caiman. They're like an alligator.
Yeah.
And, or they are an alligator.
They're smaller. How big are they?
Yeah, they can get pretty big, but the ones we were messing with were just like 4 feet. But even then, it's dark, and you're like, not in my normal course of life to be grabbing alligators, and messing with them. Even though I was born in New Orleans, I should be more burly about gators.
Well, can't they jump like out of the water?
Yeah.
They might kind of leap up and snag you.
So that was. And it's just like the stuff that it's the unknown to me. So you're like sleeping in this hammock, and then you hear all the stuff like the howler monkeys who make this really wild lion-like husky roar sound. And just being out in that environment is so intoxicating for me.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
So and you recently went to the Arctic, right?
I did.
That was surprising. Like, what the hell? That's one place I've never even thought to go.
Yeah, I went from the jungle to the great north, the ice,
Yeah.
And I've actually I'm on my 4th Arctic book. And
so you like the Arctic?
I really do. I like the, again, well, there's so many elements to it. Like, but I was going to say that on my most recent book, I wrote about the first people who tried to fly blimps to the North Pole, like back in the early 1900s. And when I first read that, I'm like, we're gonna take a 200-foot balloon, inflate it with like 270,000 cubic feet of flammable hydrogen, stick a freaking Johnson 40 outboard motor on it. What could possibly go wrong? The thing's gonna blow up.
How did they make out?
Well, there's some really great stories of that, and that's just my 3rd Arctic book. There were crashes on the ice and people having to survive for months on end on floating sea ice, big bergs. Incredible. Well, that book is called Realm of Ice and Sky, and it set off the largest Arctic rescue in history. But the funny part about going to those places is, so I went to this place called Svalbard, which is 600 miles north of northern Norway. It's still in Norway, but it's halfway between the Norwegian North Coast and the North Pole. So it's like, it's the most northern inhabited place on Earth. And I had previously met this woman in Greenland, and which is actually before we owned it and had a golf course there. But, what are you going to do? This was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And she got me really turned on to the Arctic and Arctic explorers and stuff.
Right on.
And so I ended up meeting up with Ingrid, my friend, and went to Svalbard. Bizarre thing, when I before I left to go to Svalbard, I read this story and I was like, because I wanted to camp and I wanted to get the feeling of what, at least to a degree of what it was like for these people to sleep in the cold and on the ice. And it turns out that there's only one campground that you can stay in Svalbard. And it's like during COVID, a guy, this Dutch man, whose job was to put an electric fence around this campground. He was there with this is like one of the great tragic ironies, man. He was there, all the fencing equipment was lying there at the camp area. And the day before he was going to install the fence, he got mauled to death by a polar bear, right?
No.
So in Svalbard, the polar bear is protected. There's signs all over the outskirts of the town that just have a picture of a polar bear. And then it says, like, beyond this, you're kind of on your own.
Yeah.
And so, you can imagine the first few nights sleeping there electric fence or no, if you've ever watched videos of polar bears, like they're just step right over that thing or break through it. You know, they're incredibly savage.
For some reason, I thought they were. I think I've only ever seen them in like Coca-Cola commercials. So I like didn't even I didn't know they ate people. I thought they were pretty chill.
Oh Lord,
they're pretty vicious.
They are. I mean,
Well, there you go. Learn something every day. I thought they were honestly like chill bears. I swear to God. You said they ate them. I was like, that sounds unlike polar bears.
Yes. So there were some fitful nights in the campsite.
Wait, so they never finished the electric fence after the guy got munched?
They did, but man, the thing is this high. Like it just wasn't going to do it. But, you know, after a few nights, you're like, I mean, you know, you hear the tent flaps rustling and stuff, and you're like all sketched out. Plus, at that far north in the summer, which is when I was there, the midnight sun there's no darkness.
What?
So, you know, you're kind of not sleeping anyway. And then, you hear anything and you're like,
what are the people like who live there? I always wonder those places where like it's light 24 hours a day. Do they get like the total darkness too?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, what are the people like there? Are they like completely weird or like? I feel like you'd be really weird if you like didn't have a natural.
They're hardy folk, man. Like because half the year it's nearly dark.
Yeah.
And so, but there's northern lights. There's the aurora borealis and stuff. Cool. So, you know, they cruise around on dog sled and with snow machines in the winter. And in the summer, it has like, you know, a 3-day growing season. And so like, yeah, they do some quick harvesting. But no, it's just it's never really that warm. You know, I was there in June and it snowed and, yeah, it's a harsh, you end up appreciating the kind of people who, are carving out a life there. I mean, Svalbard itself is very organized. It has a lot of tourism, you know, big tour ships come in, but also you can go on guided expeditions and go sea kayaking among the icebergs and the glaciers, which I did. And
really,
it's so rad. I love that place.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never, I gotta think about that. Cause every time I hear about like North Pole, all that Arctic exploration, I'm like, count me out, man. I don't know why. Isn't it just like snow as far as you can see or like?
Well, there's a lot of mountains too. And having grown up in the mountains, I'm drawn to that. So, you know, huge, and it comes from sea level. So you've got these massive peaks jutting up and fjords. It's kind of like you picture Norway, but farther north and stays icy and cold and windswept for more of the year. So
here's the question. Cause it's like, if you're on an expedition, would you prefer dying the death of someone dying in the Amazon or in the Arctic?
Yeah, that's a good one. You know, I've read and written about both kinds of death, right? There's something appealing in a way about like the cold. If you were just going to get hypothermia and freeze to death, that would be okay because you just sort of like go to sleep and, you know, lie there and let it happen, as they say. Yeah. But you know, if you go the other route, you know, in the jungle, you get like dengue fever or something, which would not be fun. Or, you know, you're bitten by some snake that gives you paralysis first. So yeah, I'm going to take the north. Except I will say that when I was in Greenland, we went out on a boat with I was actually writing about a blind adventurer named Eric Weinmayer, who's the first blind man to summit Mount Everest and kayak down the entire length of the Grand Canyon.
How the hell did he do that?
Well, he had help.
Gotcha.
He had a guide. But amazing. I mean, he's a transformative human.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I was following him in Greenland on this adventure race, and where it's just like a week of different really hard sports. And part of it included like boating for like a day or two all around this southern Greenland. And we were following him in this boat. And I get in the boat with this seal fisherman dude, or seal hunter, I guess. And, you know, I said, when we got in the boat, I said, like, where are the life jackets? You know, and he looked at me and he kind of smiled, dude, Greenlandic Inuit dude. And he's like, we don't have them. And I go, well, why? Because I mean, I'm going to get off. And he goes, no. If we fall in the water, we don't want it to take that long to die.
Oh,
and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
It's so cold, basically.
Because if you're just like floating along, you know, then it will take 10 minutes. Whereas if you just bob and then sink.
How cold is this water?
Oh, frick, man. Because salt water can keep it below free. You know, it's like bergs are floating around on the top. I mean, it's literally 3 minutes. Without a dry suit, you'd die.
You would die.
So you're going in this boat hoping like everything goes well,
no.
like I don't really trust the dude, but
yeah. So he was basically, if you fall in, we're dead anyway. So
right.
like,
So why, it seems like you don't really.
What size craft are you guys on?
This boat was like a 20-foot outboard.
Okay.
But we were following the people who were actually kayaking in rubber rafts, So they were more imperiled than we were.
Yeah. So, but they had the wetsuits, which I guess they would only even preserve you for not that long.
While. The really good dry suits, you'd stay alive till somebody came and, if they came and got you.
Yeah.
But, of course, that made me realize, again, I'm trying to think about the stories that I'm telling and the people I'm writing about. And like, they had none of that, no Gore-Tex, no dry suits. And they're out there in like native, in the north, like the Scandinavians and some of these northern peoples are the ones who invented like seal skin kayaks, right? So they are expert in paddling these things,
What is a sealskin kayak?
So basically, if you see, the plastic kayaks that you see out on the river here, but they build them with like wooden frames and sometimes bone, because in a lot of these places in the far north, there's no trees.
Yeah.
And then they put the outsides are like stretched sealskin or sometimes walrus. And so they're watertight. And, they're the ones who invented the older kayaks actually look pretty much, the designs have stayed similar, where there's a little cockpit and you're sitting down, but you're so low on the water, it's in any wind and waves and shit, it's just terrifying. Like, I don't want to be in there.
That's crazy, dude. Well, it's funny too, the guys who explored that place, because like, again, going back to the Amazon, it's like, okay, check it out. Like, here's like a kind of a useful place. But like the thing for the North Pole, it's like you get there and you're like, yeah, it's a ton of snow. It's like, okay.
It's an open polar sea. Like, there's nothing there. But what was really intriguing to me.
I'm not trying to reg on the North Pole, but it's
was that, they didn't, they didn't know. So where the people that I was writing about up until, and even including the dirigible airship journeys, in like the 1880s, this was just a giant blank white spot on the map.
I was about to say, what did they think was up there? Was there any like tales of what they thought might be there?
Yeah, and some really confused tales that actually ended up like not helping people, because there was this theory that there was a ring of ice around this kind of warm temperate zone. So they thought that it was like open sea there. And so a lot of times when the Brits and some of the other, the Norwegians went there or tried to go there, like the theory was, okay, we're going to break through this ice barrier and then it's like warm. I don't know why they believe that exactly.
Could be. Did you ever get into hollow earth theory? There are people who think at the top of the North Pole, like it hollows out, you can kind of go in. Yeah, just jump
right
in,
through.
Teleport right to China.
See at the bottom.
Yeah.
Where it's also ice and frozen.
Yeah, so they found out there was not the fabled oasis in the middle of all the ice.
Right, and a lot of times the early expeditions went with not enough gear and warm clothes because they thought they were going to end up in these more temperate places. And they should have figured it out by noting what the indigenous people were wearing.
Yeah, true.
They're like totally bundled up with freaking caribou.
How high up do indigenous people go up to? Are they on the North Pole?
Well, nobody lives at the North Pole, but
Okay,
they live. Svalbard's the most northern place, but on the northern coast of Greenland, there are still Etah native populations, people who are still carving out a life up there and living a traditional way with seal hunting and there's everything. There's like whales and beluga and
I think
they're hardy.
I would imagine. I think whatchamacallit, the igloos are. I read about. I was in a kids museum with my kids, and apparently they like retain heat like insane. Like snow retains heat.
Oh man,
like, unbelievably so.
Yeah, one of the things that's in writing about these expeditions, I marvel at the endurance of these, the explorers, because in some cases they were smart enough to take along indigenous guides and hunters, and they would slog for like 12 hours across the snow and ice, get to the end of the day, build an igloo in like 45 minutes, and then you have like a seal blubber lantern at one end, and you're tucked into this igloo. And these guys are, taking, not only writing down where they've gone, what the coordinates were, writing letters home, and recording in their journals and diaries everything that's happened, including what the weather was like. But they're doing that after just trekking for a day or something. And the other thing that most people don't realize is that especially in the North, it's not the case in the South Pole, but they're giant floes of ice that's breaking up, and they move tremendously. Mm-hmm. So you could be in your igloo, and all of a sudden you hear this crashing, heaving sounds and shattering. And now the ice is breaking up underneath your igloo. And so they're like, you kind of need to sleep with your boots on or your mucklucks.
Oh, so that's what you're saying. It's just a frozen sea.
Right. And so it'll shatter. And then you have to get out of there and like regroup somewhere over here. And, you're yelling at each other in the darkness, and it's just gnarly.
Oh, that sounds awful. It really does sound terrible. It's not. You're not pitching me on the North Pole. What's up with the South Pole?
Yeah, well, the South Pole is different. It's more of a landmass that has frozen sea too. But what I've always found funny is that because not a lot of people know about the Arctic and the Antarctic. So I'll tell them I'm writing about the Arctic, and they say the only thing they know is Shackleton, which is one of the most famous explorers, right? Mm. And they're like, oh, so like Shackleton, right? And I said, well, yeah, it's like Shackleton, except on his journey, everyone lived. And I only write about stories where half the people died, at least.
And Shackleton was Antarctic.
Yeah. It's an amazing story.
Personally, if I was talking Arctic and someone came at me with Antarctic, I probably wouldn't even respond. I'd be like, yeah, okay, dude.
I know what you mean. But I haven't been there. That's the one on my bucket list of, I've been on every continent except Antarctica. And so that's next.
So in North Pole, at like the North Pole, is that like a military base or like what is there?
No, it's just a spot on the map.
What?
Still. So what they did discover was that there had been a theory that there was another continental landmass there. So, maybe there's reserves of something, oil, maybe we can, and it was contested by a number of countries. So what they did figure out in the book that I wrote, Realm of Ice and Sky, they fly over it in a blimp and are able to take pictures and confirm that there's no landmass there, that it's just a giant expanse of moving ice.
Okay. And then I'm trying to like picture it. So if you fly to the North Pole and then just keep going straight.
These guys ended up in...
What is it?
They crash landed in Teller, Alaska. Well, it depends on what direction you go. But the cool thing is once you pass the North Pole, every direction leads south. It's like no matter if you turned around which in one case they turned around and then went back to Svalbard. That didn't work. They crashed.
Dang.
But yeah, it's... these stories I love because, once they're out there, then something usually invariably terrible happens.
Yeah. It is. I do like that when you're reading, all of a sudden it's like they're about to die. They're like literally on the verge of death the entire time.
Right. How are we not going to die?
Yeah. Yeah. I was bugging out on the poison, and it's a different thing, but the poison arrows in River Darkness was like, I couldn't stop thinking about them. Just one little scratch from a poison arrow, and it's just like a 24-hour shivering, horrible death.
And your arm turns black and falls off, right? And it's like, don't duck and stay under those manatee shields,
Dude, that shit sucks. Guys, this episode is brought to you by On It. Ever feel like your brain is on, but nobody's home? Spend 10 to 15 seconds sharing a quick, relatable, and funny story from your own life about a time. How about this, guys? I'll be honest. I do dumb stuff all the time. This is for Alpha Brain, by the way. They sent it to me, so I've been taking it. I fucking like it. I swear to God. I figured I would let me just try it out. Let me see, what it's all about. I like it, dude. It feels like it's a nice, it's caffeine free, first of all. That's why I never took it, because I'm like, I don't need any goddamn caffeine. But yeah, I don't know. I think I looked it up. I don't know. I don't know if it's like you can say what it does, but it apparently just like boosts your dopamine or like pushes dopamine into your brain. Give it a try. I like it. And, it gets me charged, man. I take it. It's here's the thing too. I'm very I'm very prone to just taking stuff and being like, oh, I think it's working. But I gave it to my brother. I guinea pigged my brother Swim, who's no stranger to chemicals and chemical compounds, who has a hardier constitution than me. And he even was like, bro, this stuff's got me it's got me moving and grooving. So, hey, look, we did it. That's science right there. Did a fucking study on myself and my brother and Spud. And we were like, damn, this shit fucking rips. So get it yourself. Try it out. Try it out, all right? Alpha Brain is a daily supplement with science-backed ingredients like L-theanine, designed to support memory and focus so you can lock in, tune out distractions, and stay sharp. Visit onnit.com and shop Alpha Brain to unlock your next level. That's ONNIT.com. And yeah, I literally take it every day now. I like it. Go ahead, Sean. You have to plug a show?
Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
Hello.
It's what we do it for.
Hello, everybody. This is Sean. I just want to let you know one last time that I'll be in Salt Lake City this weekend, Friday and Saturday with Nate Marshall, March 27th and 28th. Tickets are at SeanGardini.com. Please come. There are plenty of tickets available to these shows. So many tickets. And we'll be at the Houston Riot Fest the week after that, April 3rd and 4th. And then Noctis is after that at the Creek in the Cave. So please come. Tickets at SeanGardini.com or LaMaryLee.fun and you get ShaneMGillis.com too.
Sell out the link.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Matt.
Of course, guys. Oh man, this leg of the tour is winding down. On April 10th, I'll be in St. Paul, Minnesota at the Fitzgerald Theater. Huh? It's all good. What you guys need?
My red light was on when you were reading it.
Oh, you're fine. Ain't no big thing. It's just getting the audio out to the people.
Sorry.
Also 4/11, the next day after I leave Minnesota, I'm going to Des Moines, Iowa, Hoyt Sherman Place, whatever. I'll be there 4/11. So Iowa, Minnesota, I have shows there. Let's go. Let's finish this out strong, guys. What do you say? And then also motherfucking Phoenix, man, Celebrity Theater. Guys, come on. It's in the round. It's a cool place. Don't embarrass me. Oh yeah. Gardenian will be there. Fucking, it's going to be a blast. And by the way, I come alive in the round. If I'm being honest, I've done the round with Shane. I love it. So please, guys, please. Otherwise, I'll just pay to get seat fillers, and I don't fucking care. I'm gonna have a good show in the round one way or the other, guy, and I'll pay them to laugh at me too. That's 4/17, guys. 4/18, I'll be in Tucson, Arizona, and yeah, let's get it going. Also, I'll be in Toronto. We have 2 shows in Toronto. Both of them one of them's definitely sold out. The second one's dang near sold out. So might add a third. I don't know. Riviera Theater, Chicago. Yeah, let's go and get that. I think that's going to sell out, guys. That's in April. There's been a rumor about adding a possible, if that sells out, an 11 o'clock show at Zany's secret show. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Ian's going to see the
nice.
Show. Shout out.
Fuck yeah. But yeah, guys, go to mattmccusker.com. That took way too long. Just 6 shows left before I chill for the summer.
Thank you.
Oh, this is a good question.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We're bringing up the fabled Amazon warriors.
Oh, the women. I thought because everybody who lives there is considered an Amazonian now, but
True.
There's different tribes. So yeah, the Amazon women. That's an interesting and perplexing myth and story. I didn't meet any. I was looking for them.
The warriors. Man. You're talking about the warriors.
The Amazon women warriors. Yeah.
But they had their breasts in the jungle, whereas the Greek, that's where the term comes from, right? The Greek women who would they like strap their breasts down or whatever?
Yeah.
Tie them down so they could shoot the arrow.
But what I loved about that story in the Black Sea is that and this persists too in the Amazon basin, is that they would take men, mate with them.
Yeah, I know.
And then tell them to fuck off. And then they just have the women on the island. They were like, we're using you as, you're just procreators, man.
It's fantasy. It's a collective male fantasy. Get out of here. We're done with you.
We're done with you.
Go do shit in the jungle with your friends. I have no use for you right now.
Go hunt.
Well, that was the question. That was kind of what I was thinking about just yesterday. I was reading it. And so you have because the conquistadors had the fabled myth of El Dorado, the kingdom of gold and all this stuff. And that was kind of the myth. That was like a myth that was driving them. But why would, I think you might have just answered the question, but why would these Amazonian people all make up a myth of powerful female warriors
Right.
Obviously, I mean, there's the sexual thing of them like abducting you from your village and taking you to have sex with you or whatever and dropping you back off. But it's like, it is just a weird collective myth to have all these people in the jungle form of like powerful women warriors.
Yes.
Especially back then. Now I'd be like, yeah, I get it why people would do that. But like back then in the fucking 1500s, like why would they all do that and like all agree that was a thing?
Well, and also it you know, since it has persisted for hundreds of years, I mean, I love the fact that this is where mythology becomes, you kind of wonder, like, is there a kernel of truth to this? Because, you know, with modern technology, wouldn't we have found them? But I have to say, in the Amazon, I mean, when I did my journey and came out and landed in Iquitos, Peru, there was an article in the paper or, you know, online, and it had images of, you may have seen them, like they're uncontacted tribes still, and they're like painted orange, and, you know, helicopters or whatever, small planes are flying over to check them out. And they're just standing there with spears going, you know, land, please do.
Like, well, fuck you,
fucking, you know, see how that goes, Navy SEAL. but you know, they.
I mean, I think they would do all right with their guns and shit.
Yeah, they probably would. But for me, the point was like, well, okay, if there remain uncontacted tribes, even in, you know, I was down there in 2008. There still today are uncontacted tribes.
Yeah,
and so. It's so vast, and of course, you know, it's being imperiled by logging and farming and all this stuff, but it's so vast that if there are pockets of people that have lived the same way for thousands of years, and then there's myths about these particular female tribes that are warriors and don't want to be messed with. To me, I have to believe that it's possible.
Yeah, well, the guy in the book saw them. He fought them. So it was like they were paler. They were like lighter skinned, tall women that had a bunch of like short guys. They were bossing around.
You go first. I love that. And if you don't, and if you puss out,
you're dead.
We're fucking killing you. Yeah,
that still holds to this day.
Yeah.
How do I tell you about? You better keep fighting them. Yep. I might have an Amazonian in my house. I'm the last Amazonian. Why don't you pick up your shirt off the floor?
Don't back down.
No, that it was, and it's just such a funny thing because you hear, you know, they're like, while they're floating around the river, it's like there's these tales of Amazon women warriors, and you're like, okay, it's just like a fable. Then they actually battle them, and you're like, what the fuck was that all about?
And killed a couple.
Yeah, they killed almost all of them. That was shocking. You didn't take one of them prisoner.
I know, it was silly, you know, because if you look back to what Cortez did, and, you know, there's also there's albinos that come into camp one time.
Yeah, that was a weird one too. Tall albinos.
These tall albino dudes. You know, they may have been pituitary giants or something. Which
what is a pituitary giant? What is that?
Well, like you grow really fast, and they're marked by having a really big head. Actually, I played rugby for 7 years, and one of our best players in the scrum was a pituitary giant. So he was like huge, like Andre the Giant.
Yes, yeah. So your glands just produce.
Good to have on your rugby team.
I would imagine, giant. Yeah. I mean, that was like medieval battle and everything. It's fucking awesome.
And he was like, oh, he talked like that.
I'd be pissed if he didn't, honestly. If I had a giant with a soft voice, I'd be like, it's bullshit.
Howdy. But Cortez had the wherewithal to like snag some of these, specimens and take them home to England, to Spain.
Yeah.
And he would be like, I want to show the king what is here. And so there were like dwarfs and albinos, and some of them he, absconded with, put them on a ship and sent them with the royal fifth of gold that they were required to send back.
That's
and it was like,
crazy.
Check them out. Like, this place is rad,
It's crazy just to send up just a bunch of treasure, then like essentially like an old freak show. Exactly. Just hit him with like, you open a chest and like dudes, midgets pop out. And you're like, whoa, the hell's this?
But in fairness to Oriana, he didn't have like, he was just trying not to die and get down the river. So he didn't have the capacity to put them in the boat. I mean, he was trying to feed his own men. And
yeah, true.
Cortez was like, okay, we're going to put these guys on ships and send them back and show what I'm taking over.
The worst story of all, I think, from River of Darkness is when they landed in that village and it was just women there, and they took over the village and just slept with these ladies raped him. Obviously, let's be frank about it. But then the guys, all their husbands came home from a trip to just see these like people they've never seen before, all with their wives in their huts, and it was just like, dude, that's the most insane thing you could possibly imagine.
I know.
Everyone goes out to work, you come home, and everyone's wife is now being detained by like a strange being you've never.
Spend my whole day at the turtle farm and come home to this. You know?
I know. Really been farming turtles all day.
And
it's so funny.
I was chuckling too at when you guys were talking about how they named everything, you know? And the one place that you call, you know, you read it in the part 3 or whatever, and it's like, it was like place of the burned people, and I was thinking, well, you should have been called the place where we burned people. You know, like they didn't want to name it what it really was.
Yeah, I also love when he called it when he had like that. Gonzalo Pizarro had a bad march, and it was named the worst march ever through the jungle. It literally, that was a literal term.
Yeah,
this was the worst march ever through the jungle. It's like, okay.
There have been a lot of bad ones.
Yeah.
This one, worst
ever. You know?
Well, it is pretty bad when he gets back and he's like literally in, you know, skins and barefoot. You know, the fact that any of those guys
the worst is them. I didn't know you could do this with a horse. You cut it open, drink the blood as needed, and then you pack it full of mud. And it's just like a walking. It's just like a food truck. You just kind of and you would cut slivers, cook a sliver of it, eat it, and just let it keep walking as you're eating it. It was like, ugh.
Yeah, that was grim. I was listening to it a little bit on the plane, and I'm like, God, I forgot about that. You know, it's just what people will do. And, you know, I have to say, there wasn't much cannibalism in the conquistador tales, but if you like cannibalism, as you get to the the Arctic stuff,
a lot of cannibalism.
Ooh,
yeah, and that was because that's the funny thing too. Because whenever I'm like, I'll like organize notes for things, and I'll use like Grok or Claude, and they're always like, by the way, they didn't sustain themselves on cannibalism. It was for ceremonies. It's like, okay, dude, they're still eating. Like, don't nice it up. Like, it was church. It's like, okay, but so that Arctic was like they needed to munch guys. That was like sustained. That was like sustaining.
Yeah, and you're talking about a different the idea was that the explorers coming from Europe and North America were like, it was taboo. Mm-hmm. In different cultures, it's less so. Yeah. I mean, and it does beg the question. I mean, I've been asked that at book readings, like, would you eat human flesh? And
it's always one guy at a book reading.
Yeah,
would you ever eat a person, Mr. Levy? Would you eat a person? Would you eat me if I died?
Your face. I mean,
what do you say to that when someone asks you that?
I say, would you?
Touche.
I mean, it depends on if it was your fucking homie,
true.
How well do you know him?
True. Is it a guy or a girl? I would need a guy personally.
Yeah.
I would personally.
Oh man.
Unless it was a powerful warrior. I would eat a powerful warrior.
Yeah. I mean, I think at a certain point, I would,
Yeah. Obviously if you get hungry enough, yeah, for sure.
You're delirious with hunger and it's like, it's meat.
Yeah.
If I were a vegan, I would say no.
I have a cupboard full of like cereal and all this stuff, and I'll be not hungry and I don't want to eat the cereal, and I'll eat the cereal. If I was starving to death, I would totally eat a person.
Yeah.
Like, no, not a question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But
sorry,
so
guys.
then
I literally would eat everyone here. I think you guys are great, but if I got hungry enough,
but so it gets kind of grim.
I would try.
It gets kind of grim because then it becomes a question of, okay, if they're already dead,
yeah,
like let's say they starve to death and then they don't have, which happens in a couple of my books where they're dead already, they starved, so
bad eating.
You're looking around, okay. Not a lot. We've already gone out hunting and we haven't found anything. And there's a guy.
Yeah. Starving, skin and bones.
Are we gonna do it? And versus you're gonna kill someone to eat them, which is a different thing for me. Well, this went dark.
No, I hear what you're saying, because if someone starves to death and you got to split up your friend with all your other friends to eat them, but it's like they doesn't have a lot of meat on them.
Right.
Next person starts lagging. Like, we can just eat this guy now and get a better meal out of it.
Yeah, and then in some cases, what happens is like they start looking around. This happens in that book actually, or in Labyrinth Vice. So one guy, everybody else is like emaciated, sort of Walking Dead situation on the ice, and then you've got like one guy who's like 200 pounds. It looks like he's just come from CrossFit,
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck is up with him? Like, why is he so, burly? And they realize, well, he's been going off to the title crack where they've been throwing the dead people and like feeding at night, feeding at the title crack.
He's just jacked and ripped.
Yeah. And that guy, it doesn't go well for him.
So he kind of gave himself away by being like, man, I'm just different. I'm just built different. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
It's genetics.
So he was just sneaking off at nighttime and just frying up the guys. And
yes. And then, but the commander, this was an army expedition, and the commander figures it out, Adolphus Greeley, and he's like, I hate giving stuff away, but whatever.
Yeah, that's so
But he
funny.
ends up going, okay, he catches him stealing food. And then he says, okay, we're going to take 3 guys out there, and Henry, that's his name. Henry's got to go because he's eating what little food we have left. And so they do a thing where
he was munching the food reserves
after and dead people.
and the people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so then he's like, we'll all die if Henry keeps eating everything. So they have an execution, and they just like go out there and,
I got to say, that's not very fat positive of them. Henry,
Not
I'll
really.
bet he was hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. And Henry was body shaming people too,
That's fair. Damn. So he was this,
So they executed him, but they wanted to not know who did it. So they really put like blanks in 2 of the guns and then a live round in the other one.
and all fired.
They all fired on him, and
Dang.
then they had to report it to if they met, some survived. Then they had to like write a report of like, we took out Henry.
Made to kill him.
Sorry.
That's what you get, man. You can't be doing that on the expedition.
No, it's bad form. Bad team player.
That's a terrible team player.
Yeah.
Thinks it's all about himself.
There's no I in team, Henry.
Dang, that's awesome. So what is like, out of all the expeditions you've done, what are they? You've done the Amazon, Arctic. Where else have you gone?
Also, I went to Borneo. This was, I think I mentioned to you, I had followed these crazy multi-sport adventure racers around the world for about 7 years. And this was run by Mark Burnett, the guy who created Survivor, The Apprentice. And so I was doing some research, and I was a journalist then writing about these sports. And one of the ones I went to was in Borneo, which is, northern Malaysia islands. And that was super intense and it was actually during this race where Mark Burnett found the island that was the first Survivor Island, where the first competition happened, however many, like 112 seasons of Survivor ago, or whatever it's been. And so this was really incredible. We were following these racers around, and we were in boats, motorboats, but we would sleep on islands, right? And I had heard, my friend is trying to freak me out. He's like, Borneo, that's where the headhunters are, right?
So I thought,
Really? And he's like, well, they're south. They're south of where you're going to be, And I'm like, oh, good. And he said, but, Borneo has like some of the most toxic snakes in the world. And also, so at one point I'm on this island, and we were like waiting to go to the next island, and we camped out there, right? Couldn't have a hammock there because of no trees. And so I had heard about this sea crate, Krait, which is like one of the most toxic snakes in the world, right? And I mean, if it bites you, I think you have like hours to live.
Really?
So we're like, get to this island. It was beautiful. We're all setting up camp. And this one guy, we had this MacGyver dude named Brito. He's British, and his nickname was Brito, which isn't that clever, but that's just what we called him. But Brito, it turns out, was really scared of snakes, right? So we had seen a couple, they're water snakes. So it's freaky because we had to anchor out, like it's shallow. We anchored like 200, 300 yards from the island. And then you couldn't get into shore because it would break, fuck up the boat. So we're like carrying all our crap through the water, seeing occasional slithers, going, God damn. And so when we got to shore, Brito was like, buddy, I'm fucking so scared of snakes. And I'm like, okay, well, just stay away from them. But we we ended up like, so in the middle of the night, I set up my tent, and in the middle of the night, I feel some like next to me, and the dude is spooning me, and listen, I'm okay with spooning, but the guy, I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, I can't take it. I can't be out there. And then I showed him, I go, well, it's not going to help you that much in here. My tent had like a little hole in the corner, and I'm like, the sea crate's going to come right, because they look for warmth too, and I'm like,
but they're water snakes.
Yeah,
right?
they're water snake, but they can come on land. They're amphibious. It's not a good.
It's also like, don't be next to me. He's like, we're gonna,
right.
She'd be like, I'm afred of snakes too, bro. Back up, man. Get off my fucking butt, dude.
Get your snake away from me. But and then I went the next day. I go like.
I think you made it all up to get close to you, honestly.
He probably did.
Hold me, buddy.
Yeah. So the next day I went out to take a leak, and I'm like, I see the movement in the scrub, and I'm like, what the is that? And it was like it turns out it was a monitor lizard, which are next to the Komodo dragon. The monitor lizard is the second largest reptile in the world. I mean, there's like from me to these guys,
Damn.
And it's like a Shetland pony elongated size lizard, and you're like, and they're kind of gnarly too. I mean, if you don't spook them or something, you're good. But like, it all just makes you nervous. We went.
It's technically a dinosaur. A lizard the size of a Shetland pony. That's a dino.
Yeah, and you're out there in its Jurassic Park situation, and you're just trying to make a living.
That's fucking terrible. And then so you're just on that island for a day?
Yeah, and then we went off to the next. I mean, it was like a 10 or 12 day long race. And we also had to crawl through, they had this really cool section of the race where they had to, there are these bat caves that are really famous, and they're huge. You go through these, like you crawl through these tunnels to get inside the big cavern, and they're massive. And then there's these bat caves that actually are the local population. They harvest these birds. They're kind of like a swallow. They're called swifts. They harvest. They go up on these like vine ladders to harvest the eggs from these swift birds. It's like a medicinal aphrodisiac situation.
What?
Yeah.
Every single place has their like, I swear, like this is like the tree bark liquor or whatever.
Yeah. Whatever.
Every single civilization has their own like boner medication.
You gotta have it.
You do. Hey, I turned 40 this year. I'm in the thick of it, bro. I'm like, it's finally come for me.
But so yeah, then you're crawling. It was kind of nasty. I'm not against bats or anything, but like when and you guys, I know Congress.
Yeah.
You got bats, but you have to crawl through like tunnels of bat guano, like centuries of bats shitting there to get into the cavern place. And then as part of the race, the racers had to go through there and then climb up this huge like escarpment and then like rappel down the other side, right?
Jeez.
So, you're just coming out of there going, God, did I pick the wrong gig? Like I'm covered in bat shit, which
it's not good.
No.
Can you get sick? Is it like bird? I know bird shit, you can get really sick.
Yeah,
from
bat guano, you don't want to eat it.
True. Fair enough.
But no, it has, you can get sick.
Well, because the bird shit, what happens is it dries, and then you hit something and it goes up in the air. And then as soon as you breathe it in, it becomes that like when it gets wet, that's when it kind of messes you up. Like whatever. I think moisture activates. This could have just been, I was working with my dad. We were doing the thing with pigeon shit. He might have been making this all up. But he was just like, moisture activates the germs in bird shit.
It's like the Hantu virus. You don't be snorting that.
That's pretty cool though. So what do you have like cooking up? What's your next?
Well, I'm doing a fourth Arctic book because I am the master of the Arctic.
You are the master of the Arctic,
as it turns out. And
Antarctic. I'm claiming Antarctic. I'm going to go to the Antarctic.
Yeah,
I'm going to beat you to it.
Well, my editor, I'm actually, this is avoidance behavior right here because I am working on a new book, and it's about. So you may have heard of John Franklin, who this Franklin expedition that went off, and the two boats ships got stuck in the ice, and then. He never came home. He had 120. Well, have you guys heard about The Terror? It's an AMC show called The Terror. That was a huge deal. But anyway, these two ships got stuck in the ice and then nobody came home. And so his wife, Lady Jane Franklin, for like 20 years, sent expeditions to go try to find them. And then half of those people died. But those two ships were recently found in like 2017 and 2014 because of Inuit oral history. They said, we saw, their ancestors said, we saw these boats where they went down, and they ended up using submersibles to go find both those ships. And it helped solve the problem or the questions about what happened. And in fact, cannibalism occurred.
Of course.
129 men perished. But that's not what my book's about.
Yeah, true.
No, my book's about the first Franklin
Well,
expedition.
you're giving it away. What the hell?
Yeah, is about the first Franklin expedition in northern Canada, which is an overland journey in like 5,000 miles on foot in canoes with Dene, Yellowknife, indigenous people. It was during the time of the Hudson Bay Company and the Northwest Fur Traders, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's 1819. And it's just this incredible ordeal where they're trying to figure out where the Northwest Passage is. In fact, almost all this stuff was related to finding the Northwest Passage, many of the Arctic tales. And it's just an incredible ordeal.
Then what's the Northwest Passage?
They were trying to find a sea route. Instead of having to go all the way around to Asia, you could go quicker from Europe through this circuitous, all these islands north of Canada.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to navigate, and half the time it's frozen and not navigable. And so it took centuries to figure out that it's not practical. And
you just can't do it.
Many people, I mean, with global warming, it's becoming open longer. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you believe in global warming, but it's still not. It's too circuitous to get through quickly, and it doesn't really solve the problem. Yeah. But it took them a long time and many lives to come to this realization.
It sucks. A lot of those guys too, I've noticed whenever someone has like a successful voyage and they try to do the second one, it never works out. Besides, I feel like Christopher Columbus is the only guy who kind of like, I don't even know what happened to him ultimately.
He gets, like where the journeys improve.
Yeah, he just kind of just, I don't know if this is true. I was talking to somebody months ago about Christopher Columbus, who was a history teacher. And he was saying that Christopher Columbus, when he first got to, what was it, like Hispaniola or whatever, there were the people there, I forget the name of them. They were like, he famously was like, they're super docile, blah, blah, blah. Apparently, he would just like hop on their back and make them piggyback him around the island, which is so disrespectful. He'd be like, "I'm tired," and just piggyback. You know what? They would just carry him around.
You look fit.
That's disrespectful. I thought that was crazy. Out of all, I mean, there's obviously all of them did a lot of terrible things, but that would just. If a grown man was like, "All right, come on, let me hop up, let me hop on you real quick," I'd be like, "It's fucking bullshit."
Yeah.
But he made it. He was the only guy I feel like who did. I mean, I'm sure there are others, but he had like multiple successful expeditions, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He was all over the place.
Well, yeah, but you're right. They tend to end poorly. I mean, even in the case of Oriana and River of Darkness, like he thought like what he learned going down the river would have helped, and then the return voyage was disastrous, right?
Yeah.
Well, plus you can't figure out where you're going, like because the mouth is so wide. One of the staggering facts that I wrote it, I'm going to have to confirm this after we are done here if it's actually true, that there's an island at the mouth that's the size of Switzerland.
Yeah. That's insane.
Can somebody look that up?
I think that is.
It'll probably quote me.
No, I swear to God, I think that's the case.
Yeah, and it's so imagine Oriana arriving back there with his child bride, and
he did bring a child bride on the return voyage, which is crazy.
And then we're going back up, and we're going to mostly visit the places that were nice to us. Yeah, Marajo Island.
Yeah, that's insane. Marajo. And I forgot about that. And then he survives it, and then brings a child bride, honeymoons. The child bride.
Great honeymoon.
You'll love it. Crazy. And just dies in front of her.
Brazil's nice this time of year.
Yeah, I do like learning about those little those weird waterways like the Boca de Serpiente and the Boca de Dragon, where they gotta navigate these weird rocky channels with wetlands through. Where was that? Like the Trinidadian coast?
Yeah, mangrove swamps and everything.
It fucking sucks.
Yeah, I mean.
That would suck so bad, especially just to learn where you're at. Like, the place we're in is called the Mouth of the Dragon. I'd be like, fuck. Fuck.
I wonder why they call it that.
Well, buddy, this was great. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you have or anything you'd like people to know or any of that stuff? Talking business?
No, man, I really appreciate being here.
Chill customer.
It's been a blast, and I'm going to keep writing these things until I'm weak and infirm and need to feed on a friend.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure, man.
See you, buddy.
Take care.
Watch new episodes of Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast on Spotify.
Do it.